Hey everyone, welcome to Sunner Storm channel. We were also working on building the garden during that time, so it's an awesome vlog, and it would mean so much to me if you guys checked it out. You can find it in the top right corner of your screen, in the description, and in the pinned comment down below. Be sure to like the video and leave a comment. It really helps me out a lot as I'm trying to grow that channel. Now let's dive into things. As you can probably hear, I'm a little bit hoarse. I'm not really sure why. My girlfriend's birthday was yesterday, so maybe I was just being a little too loud. I don't really know what happened, but my voice is definitely feeling it. This forecast covers the 9th through the 13th in the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. We can see a pretty significant negative PNA pattern, which means colder than normal conditions in the west. As a result, there's going to be an overall surge of warmth in the east and central states. This setup also brings the potential for thunderstorms, including one that is ongoing as we speak. We've had an enhanced risk for severe weather, one yesterday, one today, and another tomorrow, impacting the southeast and southern mid-Atlantic. A lot of areas are struggling with severe weather right now, which is really concerning. We'll go over all of that, including the Storm Prediction Center outlooks at the end of this video. Now let's take a look at precipitation for the 9th through the 13th. We can see that it's going to be quite stormy, especially in the west, where multiple storm systems will move onshore in both the northwest and southwest. There will be a barrage of storms in those areas. Meanwhile, a drier patch is expected in the south central states, while the east will experience above average precipitation, though not as much as the west, but still above normal for this time frame. For temperatures in the 8 to 14 day range covering March 11th through 17th, we see the continued cold trend in the west due to the persistent negative PNA pattern. This, in turn, will continue driving warmth into the east, where it will really start to dominate. As we reach the midpoint of the month, temperatures will rise even more in the east. However, this won't be a continuous warming trend. It will be more of a cycle with 3 days of warmth followed by 1 to 2 days of cold and so on. There will still be opportunities for cooler weather and even snow in certain areas throughout this period. Looking at precipitation, the west remains above average, as does the east. Meanwhile, the south central states start to see improvements. Southern Texas still has some drier conditions, but overall, things are trending closer to normal compared to earlier periods. Now, let's look back at the past 3 days covering March 1st through the morning of the 4th. This gives us an early look at meteorological spring so far. Even though we're only 3 days into it, we've actually seen warmer conditions across much of the west and central states, while the east has been cooler. However, as we know, this is set to change in a big way through the rest of March. Now, turning to the European model, we're looking at this afternoon's conditions, which means we're analyzing past data. We currently have a strong low pressure system, and beneath it, there has been significant severe weather. A linear storm mode has taken over, which often leads to damaging winds. We've seen tornado warnings, some confirmed tornadoes, and likely some hail, especially in the south central states. As this system moves eastward, we anticipate that it will continue to be a wind-driven event with a linear storm structure. This means that from top to bottom, the storm will form a long, intense line of showers and thunderstorms. Because of this, nobody in the affected region is likely to miss it. The elevated wind threat is particularly concerning, and we'll talk more about that later. The Storm Prediction Center has even issued a hatched risk for damaging winds, meaning winds could be even stronger than what is typically considered severe. Now, let's fast forward to when you're likely watching this video, looking at 10 p.m. tonight, possibly a little before or after you're watching this. We see a strong low pressure system at 982 millibars over northern Missouri. Snowfall is ongoing in parts of Minnesota, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and even down into Kansas. This is a very intense system, and it's the driving force behind all the severe weather. As this storm moves toward the Great Lakes, the cold front will continue pushing through, reinforcing the linear storm pattern. This setup is very classic. We have a strong cold front, a well-defined warm front far to the north, and moisture being pulled in ahead of the storm. This results in significant instability, which is why we're seeing such a strong, severe weather threat The arrival of cold, dry air will only intensify this system. Overnight, we'll be talking about states like Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, and possibly even Indiana, where intense thunderstorms are expected. As we move toward the morning hours, the storm threat will extend into Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, western South Carolina, parts of Georgia, and even northern Florida. By the afternoon, these storms will reach the coastal areas of North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina, where a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for severe weather has been issued. As many of you know, this is my local area, and I'll be covering this event closely in my March vlog. It's actually been 2 years since I've experienced an enhanced risk, making this one of the biggest severe weather threats in a long time. I believe the last time we saw an enhanced risk in this region was in the summer of 2023. So to see one this early in March is definitely an interesting start to the severe weather season in the Southeast and Southern Mid-Atlantic. If you haven't already, be sure to check out my vlog channel, subscribe, and watch the past videos. I'm putting in a lot of effort, and your support means so much to me. Now let's take a look at what happens after this system passes. We'll dive deeper into the severe weather threat toward the end of the video, but here's what we can expect moving forward. By Thursday afternoon, with this cold front pushing through, we see a dip in the jet stream, which creates a bit of a trough. Although we're generally expecting a warming trend in the coming weeks, this will be one of those colder days mixed into the pattern. It's going to feel quite wintry with lows well below freezing and highs stuck in the 40s and 50s, maybe even the 30s in the northern states. It's a reminder that we're only 6 days removed from meteorological winter, so it makes sense that winter-like temperatures are still lingering at times. Snow showers will be possible in parts of the Ohio Valley and eastern Canada thanks to a strong low-pressure system over the region. Meanwhile, out west, we have a tandem of low-pressure systems, one in eastern Colorado and another over Idaho, bringing snowfall to the Sierra Nevada, the Rockies, and surrounding areas. In just a few days, we may be looking at a significant snowfall event in the western U.S. Moving ahead to Friday, March 7th, we see that much of this low pressure activity has shifted toward the central states. The system has weakened quite a bit, now sitting around 1,000 millibars, so it's not the most intense low in the world. However, showers and snow showers will still linger to the north of it, with residual precipitation across the Rockies and Southwest, including some ongoing snowfall in the mountains. By Saturday afternoon, March 8th, we'll see precipitation spreading across the deep south, south central states, and parts of the southeast. Snowfall is likely in New Mexico and parts of Texas, with widespread showers just south of those areas. We could also see thunderstorms developing along the Texas Gulf Coast, coastal Louisiana, coastal Mississippi, coastal Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. This is part of a broader positive PNA pattern, which will favor warmer temperatures in the west and, as usual, cooler temperatures in the east. Looking ahead to Sunday, March 9th, we continue to see stormy conditions, though most of it appears to be in the form of widespread showers rather than severe thunderstorms. The main low-pressure system will be offshore in the Gulf of Mexico, and typically areas north of a low see more rain than thunderstorm activity. However, coastal regions could still experience some storms. By Monday, March 10th, a snow system develops in the northeast. However, it's much weaker than what some models suggested in previous days. As I mentioned before, large snowstorms in March are not impossible. We've seen them happen, but they are more difficult to predict. Some people in the comments have treated a major March snowstorm as impossible, which couldn't be further from the truth. That said, we expected models to shift, and now we're seeing a much more minor snowfall event compared to earlier projections. By Tuesday afternoon, March 11th, snowfall moves back into the mountainous west, particularly the Cascades and Rockies, while rain falls in the lower elevations and coastal areas. By Wednesday afternoon, March 12th, the storm intensifies over the Sierra Nevada and Cascades with a strong low near Washington and a weaker secondary low near California. This brings widespread snowfall and rainfall to these areas. Meanwhile, the pattern continues shifting with colder temperatures returning to the west and warmer temperatures surging in the east. We're once again seeing a negative PNA setup, meaning we're continuing to bounce between these opposing air masses. Looking at the Midwest, we see a low pressure system centered over Wisconsin and Minnesota at 994 millibars. However, this particular low isn't producing much precipitation, making it one of those lower impact systems in terms of rain and snow. This is why I always tell you guys that we can have strong low pressure systems that don't necessarily bring intense precipitation. We'll continue monitoring these setups, but as always, things can change quickly and we'll keep you updated as new model runs come in. Take care, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow with a new update. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment. See you.